Welcome to the Hunting News Podcast. I'm Steven Ziegler, and I'm here with my co-host Aaron Futrell, and we are going to be doing a kind of a bit of a deep topic today because I think it's something that needs to be addressed. It's about hunting during turkey season, specifically hunting accidents during turkey season. Before this podcast, because we've done a lot of articles over the years and reporting, there's very few accidents that happen during deer season, and except for people falling out of tree stands. People rarely get shot. But during turkey season, for whatever reason, people tend, I guess, to shoot at noise. I'm not entirely sure why that's happening, but in order to do some research, I pulled up, I want to do this real quick just as a preview for the podcast before we fully get into it, but I pulled up kids or hunting accidents during turkey season, and you can just scroll and scroll and scroll, and it's like they're all over the place. There's every year there's a bunch of people getting shot in the head, shot in the butt. I mean, there's pictures of people full of BBs, people dying. It's people being blinded, kids being shot. It is a real problem, and I think it's something to be talked about. We're going to address a few of the topics in here, a couple of the stories, including one that in fact, I've got another one that just happened where a kid was shot. I think a 7-year-old child was just recently killed in a turkey hunting accident, which is insane to me because I have a 7-year-old at home. And so we're going to address this. We're going to bring up all the stories. We're going to talk about it. I think it's important for people to be aware of how bad this problem is and that people start paying a little more attention. But first, we're going to talk about Aaron killing a turkey, me not killing a turkey because I've been in Florida, and then get into some 3-toothed dude in West Virginia that shot somebody.
Oh, yeah,
that's one of the wildest turkey hunting accident stories I've ever seen.
It's bad.
It's bad, but it's crazy. Like it's
crazy and should have never happened. But we'll get into that here in a minute.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
on a better note, I did get a turkey a couple days ago. Well, last week. So that's a good thing. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. As a crappy turkey hunter, how did you do it? Because everybody needs to realize, if you suck at turkey hunting, here's how somebody who sucks at turkey hunting did it.
I pretty much describe I describe myself as the world's worst turkey hunter. If you've ever read my books, I've written 4, 3 on hunting and then 1 on Ohio history. But in 2 of my books, I pretty much say I am the world's worst turkey hunter. This is my 2nd turkey ever. And let's see here, I've been hunting since I was 20 and I'm 42 now. And
we actually have private land to turkey hunt on. You've been guided by people who kill turkey all the time and have literally said, hey, if you come with me, you will kill turkey. And you haven't killed turkey, which we'll talk about that guy as well because he's been in jail for murder or accessory to murder we'll talk about that afterwards. But anyways, how'd you kill this turkey?
Well, anyways, I kind of got lucky because I screwed up on one before that. So, I'm kind of par for the course on that. But went out at your mom's property, heard a couple in the morning on the neighbor's property, so they were kind of off limits. So sat there all morning, didn't hear anything. Finally moved to the other side of the property, and I heard one. This was probably about 9:30, and moved in a little bit closer, got him coming. So I thought he was up in the field, so I kind of went up to the corner. But I moved in a little bit too close, and he just shut up. I think he was a little bit closer than what I thought he was. So, once again, I would say rookie mistake, but hunting 22 years for turkey, I shouldn't really be considered a rookie.
Yeah.
So, I'm like, dang it.
No.
So, went and talked to, Paymer. One of our Marine buddies was up, and he was
eating crayons and what else?
Yeah,
mowing the lawn. So
I'm like, it was like, well, we saw, last week we saw turkey on the other side. So why don't you just go sit down over there, see if you can hear one because you screwed up the turkey on the one side of the property. So I'm heading over to the other one. Hit this field. I'm going to sit down on the other edge of it, on the other end of it. As soon as I round the corner, I look over on this field and there's 4 of them, probably about 100 yards away. So I just drop down and I sit and I start calling and I hear them gobble. But I hear them gobble and then the gobbles start fading away. I'm like, well, they're about ready to hit the property line. And it's about 11:30 and we can only hunt till noon. And then I'm got to go home and I probably won't be able to hunt for another week. So I might as well sneak up towards them and just to see if they hit the property line because otherwise it's go home like usual empty-handed. So I sneak up over there, and it drops down and then comes up on this little ridge right to the corner. And as I'm sneaking up this ridge, I'm like, you know what? As soon as I reach the edge of this corner where they were, I'm going to be within 35 yards of where they were. And if they're still there, I'm going to be right on top of them. So as soon as I round the edge, I see this red head just pop up 35 yards from me. So I shot it. And
Spot and stalk turkey hunting.
Spot and stalk turkey hunting. And it ended up being a pretty nice tom, 9-inch beard, 3/4 inch spurs.
Yeah, well, if you suck at turkey hunting, maybe just follow them around. I don't know.
Yeah,
I suck
so
too.
I got a turkey. And I'm happy, and I already ate part of it. So I saw a little bit in the freezer. Got the other, ate one breast, gonna eat the other one later.
Now, you did go out turkey hunting with a guy who guided you, and then he seemed like a pretty cool dude. I don't know if you want to talk about this on the podcast or not.
I'm not going to bring up his business, but he had some run-ins with the law, but he's a real,
Yeah, he seemed like a cool dude.
Yeah, he's
he was a really good turkey hunter.
Really good turkey hunter, still a good turkey hunter. He's turned his life around. He's got in trouble with the law, but he's, I've talked to him recently, and he's a good guy now. He's good. What happens to people sometimes.
We'll leave it there.
Yeah. So.
Anyways, So with these turkey hunting accidents that happen. Obviously, turkey hunting, you're not wearing orange. You're, sitting there calling. You're sounding like a turkey.
You're pretending to be a turkey.
But you're not a turkey, man. Like, I've never shot at something that I didn't know what it was. Because from the time I was a kid, Grandma taught us in 4-H shooting safety class, because that's where we learned shooting safety was from Grandma. It was always know your target before shooting. Like, so I've always been a little confused on how this happens. Well, but go into this story about this guy in West Virginia.
But before we go there, you do know that our great uncle was shot by our other great uncle.
Yeah, but they were nuts.
Yeah,
we come from a really crazy family.
Yeah, I'll go into that story a little bit since I don't know how much you know about that story.
I know he's pretending to be a turkey flopping around.
He was crawling around on the ground with a black poncho on, pretending to be a turkey, and it would have been his uncle. So it'd been my great uncle, his uncle.
Great Uncle Bud?
No, it'd be Uncle Ed. I don't know if you ever met him. I think
I didn't.
You were maybe 4 or 5 when he passed away. So,
yeah.
So it had been my great grandpa's brother, and so he was my great uncle Don was crawling around on the ground with a poncho, pretending to be a turkey thing. If they think I'm a turkey, they're gonna come into me. He's trying to be his own decoy. And my
Uncle Don was the best.
Oh yeah,
but this is how you get shot.
And my great Uncle Ed, I think there's 2 greats in there, came over the ridge, saw somebody clucking down on the ground, moving around, and pulled up and shot him. And he was lucky he had a big heavy poncho on, so most of the BBs didn't penetrate, except when they did take him to the hospital to get the BBs popped out. They said during the x-ray he had one BB that they found pulled right between the eyes.
So when I was a kid, he told me that story, and I heard about it. But I never knew if he was telling me the truth or not, because at the end of the story...
he always did lie a lot.
Yeah, he lied a lot.
But he called it embellish the truth.
He would tip his head to the side and hit his ear and put his other hand there and just be like, watch. Sometimes I hit my head real hard, a BB will pop out, and then he'd sit there and there's a BB in his hand. And it was like... I know you're lying to me. So how much of this story is true and how much of this is a lie?
Yeah. He's like, you still hear it rattling around in there. Dude, sometimes.
He would always say it. And you know what? I'm sure that people listening to this have that relative that they know that sound like, oh, I got that relative. That's my uncle so-and-so.
But
I guarantee that.
He did get shot. And this is the story I heard from my grandpa was telling it. So it wasn't Uncle Don.
Yeah.
And it was also Grandma. And my grandma was like, he was so dumb and I was stupid.
Yeah, don't pretend. Yeah,
He's like, don't pretend to be a turkey.
Okay, but that's what people are doing now. They're walking around with fans and guns on public land.
Yeah, they were on public land in West Virginia when they were doing that. And speaking of, this is where
allegedly.
It was allegedly. I think it was public land because.
Oh yeah, it was all the paper.
All the old paper company, which it was private land, but
they had permission.
I think. They had something agreement with the state so that anybody can hunt on it. So it was pretty much public. Yeah. But anyways, So the story we're going to talk about happened in West Virginia, in Wayne County, West Virginia. This guy was out turkey hunting and was shot. And the hunter that shot him came up to him, and this part of the story I got from a Facebook post. He said, "I'm sorry, dude," and then just took off.
Now it's important to let's explain this guy. This guy has, I counted them, 3 teeth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
this dude is a guy from the mountains. He is a redneck dude that was obviously, this is one of those 70 IQ individuals that has 3 teeth and it's a bizarre video to watch him interview.
But anyways, this guy shot this other turkey hunter, says, "Sorry, dude," and bolts. Doesn't help him, doesn't render aid, doesn't call the ambulance, doesn't call for help, and takes off. And then leaves this other guy that he's just shot, leaves him in the woods.
Is it true that he was with his kid when that happened?
No. This guy was all by himself.
Okay.
And
I'm getting that mixed up with another story.
That's probably mixed up with another story. This guy ends up having to crawl up the hill till he gets cell service, and calls his dad saying, "I just got shot. Send help," basically. And then he ends up being airlifted to the hospital where he has 2 collapsed lungs. He was shot in the arm, chest, and head. So he's got BBs in his face, in his chest, 2 collapsed lungs, and arm. So
2 collapsed lungs.
2 collapsed lungs. So he's in the ICU. It happens to be his birthday, so he spends his birthday in the hospital.
Happy birthday, bro.
Yeah, so that sucks. Yeah. So, and then eventually the guy that shot him ends up, they're starting to look for him. He ends up turning himself into the police department, find out that this guy didn't have permission to hunt on the land that he was there because he was hunting on private land. So he didn't have permission to hunt there. He was a felon.
So he's not even allowed to own guns.
Not allowed to own guns. So he shouldn't even have hunting without a license. Well, if you couldn't have guns, I don't think you could get a hunting license. But I don't know. He might be able to archery hunt. That's,
but still, he's
depending
not.
On what's the state, you might not even be able to archery hunt. There's some ambiguity. Yeah, that word in the law, depending on the state and county and where you're at, if you can even archery hunt. So he's got I think he's facing 3 or 4 different felonies, like failure to render aid, hunting without a license, trespassing, hunting without permission, and a few misdemeanors. And he's under $200,000 bond right now in jail. So
he ain't posting that.
No, he could probably barely afford his liquor.
This dude was wild looking, and you know what? And that's to say, this when I go back and I look at all these different stories, obviously this dude looks like somebody that might shoot somebody. But when we look at all of the different stories we've done, because we've been doing the hunting news since 2015, is when we started all this. Almost 10 years we've been doing this. Every year there's turkey hunting accidents, especially 2020 when a bunch of people went. That was probably the worst year. There's a bunch of people that were hunting.
More people in the woods than there probably ever was.
Because they were all in lockdown. It was right after lockdown. People knew they could go outside, and then they all bought hunting licenses and went and shot each other. But this is a problem not just with somebody that looks like, but I've seen and heard of people who have shot people, and it's like, dude, you grew up hunting. You know better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do this? Why are you shooting into a brush pile with movement? I don't understand. And that was what I was alluding to at the very beginning of this podcast. I wanted to pull this up.
Yeah.
I Googled turkey hunting accidents. 2023, man shot, died turkey hunting accident. Man shot, dead turkey hunting accident. Man shot while turkey hunting in West Virginia. That was that one we just talked about. Man in custody after shooting. Man injured in turkey hunting accident. But now that's a different one. But now I don't know where that's at. A dead turkey hunting accident. It's just page after page after article after article. You can scroll down and scroll down and scroll down, just constantly over and over and over. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of articles on people getting shot while turkey hunting. I mean, we've pulled up articles. We posted X-ray images of people that have BBs through their whole body.
Mm-hmm.
There was an incident not long ago where a little girl was hunting with her dad, And I believe that was the one where her dad was shot, right? I think
Yeah.
her dad died, right? If I'm not mistaken on this one. This was a big story back in, I want to say 2020 or 2021, where a girl, I remember she was a little girl. She's like my daughter's age. She was a cheerleader, just like my daughter was at the time. And
Oh, yeah.
I remember like really relating with this story and being like, oh, and then her dad got shot. And I believe he died in that accident when she was hunting with him. And so when we look at all these stories, I got all these articles just pulled up one after another on here of just people getting killed in turkey hunting accidents.
There's another one this year where 2 hunters were shot while hunting over bait for turkey. It was posted, I think, by the Oklahoma game wardens, and they positioned themselves opposite. They put 2 guys down to hunt over bait, and then they positioned themselves at the opposite end of the field, and the guy shot the turkey, but they were right in line with where the turkey was, so they shot the turkey, and then they were another 40 yards behind the turkey and got peppered with the with the shot.
So this one right here, a boy defined by a bright personality and loving outdoors was shot while hunting early, died the next day. That's not even the one I was looking at. 15-year-old fatally shot while turkey hunting in Queens County. I don't know what state
Prescott?
that is even. North Carolina. It was no, it's Perquimans or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyways, it's North Carolina. The
like-
15-year-old shot and killed. I mean, it's kids, and just it seems that we see these accidents happening every year, and every year on social media, where we're very highly engaged with the hunting news on Facebook, and so we see these things and we're posting these things, and we're posting them mainly because we want people to be very aware of what's going on in the woods when you're turkey hunting. And there's people, especially during turkey season, you got to realize one of the things, like with and it's very relevant to the story you just talked about, is that there's turkey hunters realize there's not as many people in the woods as during deer season.
True.
There's way less turkey hunters than there are deer hunters. So a lot of these guys think, oh well, I can just get away with that property over there where I'm hearing that turkey. Yeah, I'll sneak over there. You know, let me just man, I've been hunting all day. It's 11:30. Those turkey are going across the field, like in your situation. But if you look at it and go, well, I have a shot if I just walk onto that other guy's property, and you see some movement where you think the turkeys are, and you're hearing calling because the guy's calling, and you shoot them, like I think that's a lot of how a lot of these cases do have one thing in common. Not all of them, but there is something that happens a lot where it's people that are trespassing. There is a lot of these hunting accidents that happen while trespassing, and that's I think because there's people real antsy on somebody else's property to shoot one of these birds. Like, hey, look, man, there's probably nobody over there. They think there's nobody over there. They see the bird. They think that they're alone, and they see some movement. They hear the calls, and they make the shot. That's my guess.
And because
my personal guess. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if I'm right or not about this. What do you think about that?
I think there might be something to it because
have you noticed that pattern too, though, with all the stories we've done? There's a lot of trespassing cases.
There is a lot of trespassing cases. I've seen that a lot with the stories we've covered. Is they've shot turkey and the errant shot that goes past the turkey has hit somebody, and it kind of makes sense because the person that they've shot is wearing camo, they're holding still, and our eyes are drawn to movement, and we're not seeing the person moving behind the turkey.
Okay. That could
so,
be.
You're not seeing, like in deer season, especially with a gun, you're not seeing the orange. Even though there are hunting accidents during deer season,
it's mostly people falling out of tree stands. Like statistically, how many? Like if I googled right now, so just as a comparison, let's do this comparison right on here right now.
And
if I go, what should I Google? Should I do something like
deer hunting accident?
Hunters,
deer hunter
shot.
Deer hunter shot. So make it deer hunter
during deer season.
Yeah. Okay. Make it like the same.
Let's try that. During deer season.
You'll get.
Okay, we got one from 2023.
So last year.
Minnesota of 2023. Okay, now we're moving past that. That's still 20. That's the same one. I'm seeing a lot of the same one here. Now we're down to 2022. So it looks like there was probably one in Kentucky, one in Minnesota in 2023. It's obviously 2024. I'm not seeing.
We haven't had a deer season yet. Really.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Yeah, good point. Now we're moving into 2022. There's a couple here. Woman shot, hospitalized. I remember that one happened.
Yeah.
It's 1, 2. But there's what? How many? What's the percentage? How many more turkey hunters or deer hunters are there than turkey hunters?
Oh, there's a lot more.
I mean, is it 3 times as many? 4 times as many?
That I don't know off the top of my head.
But you would expect, statistically speaking, if all things are equal, you would expect if there's 4 times as many deer hunters as turkey hunters to be 4 times as many accidents. Plus, deer season is longer.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's a lot of bow hunting, and if you accidentally shoot somebody with a bow, you're a real moron. But you have full week or 2-week gun seasons that are happening, and people are just not getting shot. Most of the accidents, even the ones I saw on here, there was tree stand accidents popping up.
Yeah, like tree stands accidents. We could talk a whole bunch about that because that's probably the most dangerous thing. But still, in all retrospect, hunting is very safe. Even turkey hunting it's even though it might be the most dangerous form of hunting, I think what garners the most newsworthy when there is an accident, it's usually severe and a lot of times deadly.
For hunting?
Yeah, for
'cause
hunting.
You're getting shot with a slug, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, not even just like for hunting in general. When an accident happens, out of all sports, there's more injuries in basketball and football and all
ping
that.
pong. There's more in ping pong than there is in table tennis.
Yeah, if you look up the statistics, hunting is right alongside of billiards when it comes to hunting per capita. Out of like 100,000, I can't remember the exact numbers.
Yeah.
Like, it's like its most dangerous sport is comparable to billiards, pool. But when there is an accident, it's deadly.
So according to this, there's 11 million people that deer hunt, 2 million that turkey hunt. There's over 5 times as many people deer hunting as turkey hunting, but yet we're seeing way more accidents. We're seeing way more people shot.
I think, and we've kind of outlined probably why that is, putting it together. Like the hunter orange helps definitely during
but
gun
I don't
season.
like wearing it, to be honest with you.
Well, you can. A lot of states you can wear hunter pink. I know that'd be better. I know you'd like that.
Maybe I'll get a hunter pink vest this year.
The blaze pink. I don't think it's legal in Ohio, but you can go to like Wisconsin.
We're advocating for it. Ohio. We're advocating for it. Hunter pink.
Hunter pink.
I need my pink vest so that I don't get shot. Okay, so put that out there for you in Ohio. Governor DeWine, not a fan, but you can help me with this.
Yeah, you wear the hunter pink, hunter orange, or and that you're sitting still and you're pretending to be the game. Like nobody's pretending to be a deer.
I mean,
well, there's probably a couple people.
We had our old business partner Brandon, the crazy cousin, who put on deer antlers and covered himself in deer pee and got a grunt call and walked out into a field. He's like, well, if I look like a deer and smell like a deer and sound like a deer, I'm like, the deer's gonna try to have sex with you? Like, what are you going for, dude? And they ran away because he's an ugly dude.
Yeah, but still, you're pretending to be the species that you're trying to hunt.
Yeah.
So you're, that doesn't really happen in deer season unless you're,
Next thing you know, you get Dick Cheney.
Yeah, Dick Cheney.
Yeah, you don't want to be.
You don't want to be Dick Cheney'd.
Yeah, so you got that aspect, and
he shot his friend while pheasant hunting.
Yeah, you're like, hey.
And then the guy was like, "It's my fault."
Yeah,
I don't think it was.
Yeah, the second most powerful man in the free world says it's your fault. It's your fault.
Sure, bro.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
But yes, so I think this is an important topic for us to cover because it does get it is something that when you're going out hunting, even if you're hunting on private land, like I hunt on private and public. I have a lease where I have other people that I know, but when I check trail cams, I found other people on that lease that have snuck onto the property, and I do think that there is a correlation, and I'd be interested. Drop it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Do you believe that there's a correlation between people sneaking onto private land and these hunting accidents? Do you think that's where a lot of it comes from? I want to hear from you guys as well. Comment on YouTube and on the Facebook page as well.
Yeah, but there's also been a lot of hunting accidents on public land.
Yeah.
So, I think
yeah, but there's a lot of
there's a lot of hunters there too.
Yeah,
so,
there's a lot of idiots there.
Yeah, and that's what comes with, the hunting, the pretending to be the animal that the other people are trying to kill. And,
Okay, so let me ask you.
Yeah.
You've been on public land. If you ever noticed, like I've talked to a couple people on public land, especially at Beach City where we used to rabbit hunt. I've deer hunted there. You come across people on public land, because I just kind of made a comment about people. I was like, there's a lot of idiots there. There is. But if you notice that when you go to public land, that you can talk to people, and you kind of tend to see like two types of people. Like one type of person that's just like doesn't know what they're doing. They're like, oh yeah, I was saw a couple 10 points, and I was hunting the bull over there, and and you're like, you can tell that they just like don't know what they're talking about. And then you hear a guy, like for example, I was hunting a bow only area. I don't want to blow up my spot, but there's a public land area. It's bow only by my house, and I was out there, and I had this whole strategy. And I watched the hunting public guys, and so I had like this whole strategy, and I went and I executed. I set up this tree stand, and I got in there, and then like right before dark, I see someone get out of a tree stand about 40 yards away from me. He's like on the opposite side of a tree, and he like gets down, and he like walks right underneath of me, and walks out. I'm like, dang it, that guy was there the whole time. He never saw me. So I get down, I get out, I see him in the parking lot. Hey man, I was like, you walked right underneath me. This is where I was at. He's like, I'm sorry man. He's like, I didn't know you were there. I was like, I didn't know you were there. And we were talking, and he was like, yeah. He's like, I've watched some YouTube videos. I got some ideas. I was like, was it the hunting public guys? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, because just how this property was set up in one of their videos, we watched the same video, and it was like the same strategy that they had talked about in this video. And I remember sitting there being like, I said, look, dude, I got 600 acres of public land. I got 100 acres of public land. I got some private land, both of those, 600 acres private, 100 acres private, and then I have some other public land. I said, you go ahead and do that. I'm out. Like, we don't need to be stepping all over each other here.
Oh, yeah.
But you can tell, like, you're like, okay, here's a guy who's like actually knowledgeable and just trying to use public land to hunt like I was. And then you have these guys that are like that three-toothed guy that's like just, walking around just on public land, not knowing what they're doing, screwing it up for everybody.
That was private land that he was on.
But he was trespassing on private land there. But but like you see those type of guys. Or the guy I mentioned in another podcast where he I watched a guy shoot a combine on public land. Was that the first podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened was I was Beach City again, and I'm hunting with my brother-in-law, and we're sitting there on public land, and there's this giant cornfield, this 40-acre cornfield on basically 200 acres. It's right in the middle, and everyone's thinking the same thing. Oh, dude, there's deer in the corn. They're all hiding in the corn. That's what everybody thought. Opening day of deer gun season in Ohio, a combine pulls up and starts knocking over the corn. I look at my brother-in-law and go, dude, we got to get to the edge of the field. We walk to the edge of the field, and then all of a sudden, on the far side of the field, pointed right back at me, I see orange. I'm like, oh, no. All 30 people on this 200 acres has the exact same idea, and we're all in a circle pointed at each other. And I'm like, dude, this is a problem. Well, the combine's coming to me, and I'm like, all right, as soon as this combine goes by, I'm dipping out. But the combine's almost to me, so if there's a deer, I'm going to shoot it. It comes right past me, no deer, no deer, no deer. It gets about 20 yards past me, and I see this muzzle flash. And I thought my brother-in-law was like 50 yards away. My brother-in-law, Garrett. You know Garrett.
Oh, yeah.
Like, good turkey hunter, actually. And anyways,
Not me.
we're sitting there, and I see this muzzle flash 20 yards away. I'm like, dude, he's way too close to me. But he shot the combine. I thought my brother-in-law shot the combine. I was like, oh, shit. Like, it freaked me out. Like, I was like, cousin, I was yelling. I was like, oh, he just shot the combine. And I see him stand up and walk directly away, back into the woods, through the marsh, to the other side where he can access the road. And just, like, booking it. And I'm like, did my brother-in-law shoot the combine? The combine stops because it got shot. The worker stands up, gets out of the turns it off, gets out of the combine, and just leaves. Right? We went back there in end of January, beginning of February to pheasant hunt. That combine was in the exact same spot. It had not moved an inch. Nobody went back in. That dude quit. He's like, I am not getting shot over some corn. So then, but anyways, after that, like when the guy ran, I thought it was my brother-in-law running away, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do right now. Like, I'm a little conflicted. He just shot a combine. And then all of a sudden, I see him walking towards me. I'm like, oh, it wasn't him. And he's got his hands up there like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know, but we got to go because this is dangerous. So we got up and left. I haven't been back for deer hunting season ever since in Ohio. Like, Beach City, have at it. Like, that's all you guys. Because I'm not hunting there because I watched a dude shoot a combine.
We still go there for rabbits.
Yeah, we'll go over there for rabbits, but there's typically nobody else there other than us.
Yeah. Into January.
Yeah, you're hunting rabbits on Beach City.
Oh, yeah.
There's not as many there now, but because the coyotes moved in. But yeah, it was very interesting to see that somebody could be so dumb as to accidentally shoot a combine.
Yeah.
How can you be? Imagine being that stupid.
Was it a John Deere?
It was a John Deere.
Oh,
Oh, dude, yeah. I never put that together. He was deer hunting. Oh, congratulations, you shot the biggest one. I don't know.
Didn't check it in.
Yeah. Didn't check it in. Yes, that's a great line.
Yeah,
But anyways, yeah, so hunting on public land, there's obviously some idiots out there, but there's some smart guys out there too. And it's just a shame that the people who are probably listening to this are probably the ones that are involved and that are a little bit smarter and a little bit more aware. And you don't obsess over deer hunting and listen to deer hunting podcasts and listening to just the hunting news and other podcasts like that if you're not obsessed with it. And I don't think that there's, man, you know what? I think I might be wrong about that actually. Because how many people have we seen where it's like, oh, this guy hunted for 30 years and then he shot his brother? We've seen those stories too.
And
they're less.
Speaking of which, when I went to Kentucky last year, the guy, the mentor I was hunting with on the veterans hunt, he was a gunsmith for, I think, 50 years. He was an older gentleman. He was probably in his 70s. And he showed me on his leg where he accidentally shot himself. Like shot a 9mm like through the top of his thigh.
Plexico Burris style, right?
What's that?
Plexico Burris style. Shot himself like with a handgun?
Yeah, with a handgun. He's like, I did the stupidest thing, not paying attention. It was one in the chamber. I just dropped the magazine. It was a Glock. I don't remember exactly how he did it. He's like, I've done this. I've taken this gun apart probably 1,000 times. And this, for one reason, I didn't clear it. And went to rack it up and squeeze the trigger to pull it apart. And there was one in the chamber, shot it right through my thigh, out the thigh, through my calf, out the calf. He's like, I am lucky it never hit a bone.
Have you seen that? Oh, I know you've seen it because we were the first one to report on it. Remember the guy who tried to test out his steel-toed boots by shooting himself? I think was that a 45?
That was a 45.
Yeah, he tried to test out his but he missed the steel-toed boots and put a hole through his foot.
Yeah.
He shot just in the steel.
Yeah, but my point of talking about that guy is just because you have a ton of experience doesn't mean you can't have a lapse in judgment.
Yeah.
It's like you can have a ton of experience doing something and you can screw up. I was like I was in the National Guard and in the Army, and I've worked with pilots that had like tons of flight hours of flight time. And every now and then, we hear stories about crashes of helicopters, and some of them are experienced pilots. And when the investigation concludes, it's like there was a lapse of judgment by a very experienced crew. And it's like, sometimes it's, people without experience that makes mistakes, but every now and then you get so used to doing something that you have a lack of judgment and you get complacent. And complacency can kill you.
I think that's two things to take from this. One is don't get complacent if you're hunting, because you don't want a kid. There's 100 stories on here of kids getting shot during turkey season. There's 1,000 stories of adults getting shot. You don't want that to happen to you, especially if you have kids, you have grandkids. I mean, I have 2 kids. I mean, I couldn't imagine that happening. And it's hard for me to understand how that happens. But and then 2 is that I think that the majority of these cases come from people that are inexperienced and trespassing, poachers. We see a lot of them are that. We've noticed that in all the reporting we've done for 10 years. So 1, don't poach, don't trespass. 2, don't get complacent. And and I guess to kind of conclude all this, make sure that you're paying attention when you're out there. I don't personally know how you could shoot something when you don't see the red head right in front of you. And I haven't noticed anybody getting shot that's walking around with those fans. Yeah. I've been waiting for that to happen for the last 5 years, and it really hasn't. But it seems like it's going to at some point. But just be careful out there, guys. I hate reporting on these stories. They make me genuinely sad.
It's like, oh man, not another one. It just sort of feels like it's like, oh man, another one. That's what it felt like when we were doing this reporting is like
this is going to sound a little bit bad. This is because me and you, we run the Hunting News, Rack Junkies, the Sportsman Party, run all these pages. So we put out a lot of content. And every time it comes to turkey season, we have this conversation when we're making fishing lures down here for DeLong. We make fishing lures. We're sitting here talking about content and what we're going to post. And every year when it comes turkey season, we're talking about like, well, there's going to, April's a slow month, but there's going to be some people getting shot. And that's the reality of, hey, we got to report on this. We got to let people know. I hate doing it, but at the same time, we got to keep our pages active. And this is important for people to remember because every time you see it, it keeps you from being complacent.
Yeah, and it's like kind of, it's like a warning signal. It's like, hey, this stuff happens. It's out there. So, like, don't let it be you kind of thing.
I'm always conflicted when I post it because I feel bad. Because you're like, oh, I'm not... Because we don't get paid for clicks and stuff like that. It's always just it's not articles where we're making money on ads, but at the same, which we used to do, and I think that we needed to do, but now we're not getting necessarily paid for clicks or anything like that. So we're just posting, hey, look, this happened again. This happened again. It's a poacher. It's somebody that got complacent. It's somebody who just wasn't paying attention. It was a new hunter. It was whatever. But every year when it comes to turkey season, we talk about like, well, we're gonna get at least probably 1 or 2 posts a week for the next month and a half of somebody getting shot. And that it's a conversation that we have, and it sounds bad to talk about, but when you're hunting the hunting news, it's you got to talk about it.
It's like it's a reality.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when I went to Iraq. I was in the military, and it's like somebody is probably going to get injured. Good chance somebody might die while I was over there.
Yeah.
Like I was in the medevac unit. It's like my job was to dispatch helicopters to go save people's lives. And there's a lot of times that we dispatched the helicopter and the helicopter had to come back empty because that person didn't make it. And that was reality. And that's the same thing with hunting accidents. It is reality of turkey hunting. I wish it wasn't that way. I wish I could stop it, but it's the thing that happens.
But in order to preserve the sport for years and years to come, and generations and our kids and grandkids, it's important for this to at least be mitigated in some way.
Exactly.
And I don't know necessarily the solution to that because I genuinely, as much as we've talked about it, don't fully understand why it happens. Mm-hmm. I don't. I don't fully understand. And I know complacency. I know it's a lot of poachers. I know it's people trying to shoot the bird and run off the property. I get it, but still, I don't understand how you're looking down the barrel and you don't see the bright red head of a turkey moving before you pull the trigger. So I guess that's the big thing that we can kind of end on with this is that make sure you're not complacent. If you notice that there's poachers on your property, be aware of that. Just, make sure. If you have private property and people don't poach. First off, let me just make that clear.
Yeah.
If I have to say that, because we do poaching cases, which is probably the next podcast. I have a bunch of research on that right now. But we'll talk about that next time. But make sure that you're not poaching. Make sure that you know if there are people. Set up trail cams. Put up a posted sign that says this property is monitored by cellular trail cams. That's probably the biggest tip I can give to private landowners.
Even if it's not.
Even if it's not, it doesn't matter. If somebody goes, oh, they can see a live feed of me coming onto the property, well, then they're going to go, well, I don't know. And actually, Doug DeHarpart from Created Outdoors, he did a live video where somebody stole his trail cam. It was a cellular trail cam that had tracking on it, and he did a live video. I gotta get a hold of him because he actually lives in Ohio. We interviewed him on the podcast before. Doug DeHarpart, it was very interesting because he had the Norton police come down and they tracked the trail cam and found the guy. So that's a little pro tip for anybody that has private land. Put up posted signs. This property monitored by cellular trail cams. You will be caught, even if it's not. It's enough of a mitigating factor that it will keep people off of your property to a large extent and keep you safe during turkey season and protect your property from all the hard work that you've put into it.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the cellular trail cams, do you remember that story we did a few years ago where the guy stole the cellular trail cam?
This is the best.
And he, set it up in his bedroom, set it up on his nightstand. And
I talked to the trail cam company. They sent me a free trail cam for putting a link in their article. This was years ago.
Yeah, and it was taking pictures of him in his bedroom and sending them to The person
Yes.
who owned the trail cam.
The guy who owned the trail cam
So
actually
it's-
sent me the pictures, and it was this old dude in his
underwear.
underwear, in his whitey tighties.
It was hilarious.
This old dude in his whitey tighties, he just set the trail cam and didn't turn it off in his own bedroom. And the guy's like, "Does anybody know who this is?" It's just like this old guy in his whitey tighties, just
He's like-
looking like just waking up and then going to bed. It was like every day he's posting these pictures of this dude, like he's like pushing 80 years old.
Yeah, I was like upper
was
70s,
70-something,
70
yeah.
something or in his 80s. He was just like this.
Big and fat, had solid B cups, just like really going at just right in his bedroom, just sending
Like-
the pictures to social. And this guy would just
I'm-
post them to Facebook every day. He sent them to me, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
did an article on it. Went viral. So
Oh, yeah.
that was back probably 2018, I think.
Yeah, it was like a couple years
2018,
after.
2019.
Yeah, a couple years after we first started.
Yeah, I think it was 2018.
I'm just glad he was in whitey tighties.
Yeah,
and just
and not like full on dude,
just not
like,
full, just not the full Monty.
just a full on dude, 80-year-old guy, just like
Oh,
with a
yeah.
stole trail. Because I didn't feel bad at all posting those pictures because
Nah.
he stole that trail cam.
Oh yeah, he's like, you deserve this.
Like, does anybody know who it is?
Yeah.
But that trail cam company, I wish I could remember who it was. It wasn't any of the major ones.
No.
But I'll bring that up on the next podcast. I'll go home and look at it because the trail
Yeah.
cam worked pretty well.
Yeah.
I was a fan of it. It wasn't as good as the Blackgate ones I have, but it was a good one. It was a good
Oh, yeah.
cellular trail cam compared to most.
Oh yeah, that's when they were first starting to get big.
Yeah, I bet you that company was pretty good at the beginning.
So they're
I'd
probably
look into it.
they're probably good, even better now because when they first came out, they were kind of those cellular trail cams are kind of
They were hard to set up.
hard to sell. Now they're freaking easy.
Those Blackgate ones, you could set them in 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Dude, those things are insane.
yeah, they're
And they just always send in pictures. I've had zero problems with that one.
yeah they've come a long way.
Yeah, but some of them are still hard to set up. But anyways, we'll end on that. Make sure you guys, that's a little pro tip for you to try to keep yourself safe. And then make sure that you guys comment in here. What do you think the punishment, this is the one thing I want to know. What do you think the punishment for shooting somebody during hunting season, not just turkey hunting, but any hunting season, what should that be? Should you lose your license forever? Should you have to go through a course? Or should you have just the normal criminal process that we have right now, where it's like, hey, you can't shoot people, you know?
Like, oh
Yeah.
dang it.
Comment,
Yeah.
let us know on the Hunting News on Facebook or in the YouTube comments, let us know. And then we will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.